Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. In today's video we're going to take a look at the brand new battle traits for the Chaos Warbands that all came out in the original edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry. And so you can find all these brand new battle traits in the Briar and Bone box set booklet. Today's video is sponsored by Gap Games, a fantastic miniature wargaming store in Queensland, Australia. They stock a wide variety of miniature wargames from all things Games Workshop to some of my personal favourites, Conquest, The Last Argument of Kings, and all things Modifius wargames as well. Use our affiliate code in the link below to help support both this fantastic store and the channel as well. Now, first of all, we do have the Chaos battle trait. Any warband can choose to use the Chaos trait instead of their own, and it is the Aspire to Glory rule. Once per battle round, add 1 to the damage points allocated by the first critical hit from a melee attack action made by any friendly fighter that has a points cost of 125 points or less. This is pretty solid. There are a lot of models in the initial warbands that definitely fall under this. I think the vast majority of stuff, bar your leaders and bar maybe some of the very select elite sort of second in command fighters, will benefit from this ability. Moving on, we have the Corvus Cabal, who have plunging killers. They get to add 2 to the strength characteristic of melee attack actions made by friendly fighters with this battle trait if they had a fell activation made. So if they've fallen during the turn, that will get some extra damage. This is pretty nice and can combine with some of the other abilities we have access to in the warband nicely. Adding strength as well is definitely where we sort of lack in the Corvus Cabal. They can put out quite a decent amount of attacks with some of their fighters, but getting extra strength to punch through some of the tougher things that have come out in the game. I'm thinking Stormcast Eternals, or things like the Jade Obelisk, or even Iron Golems from the original set as well. The Cypher Lords are next, and they have Matchless Acrobats. After a friendly fighter with this battle trait uses an ability, you roll a dice. On a 5+, you add 1 wild dice to your saved wild dice pool. This is pretty cool, and obviously it's not going to have much effect during the late game, but being able to sort of generate some wild dice early when you use some abilities is going to be nice, generating you extra abilities later in the game. You're going to definitely want to make sure you are using all those abilities up when you can, getting all those doubles. Just use them as a rush or an onslaught, whatever you need to do to use them, always use them. We then have the Dark Oath Savages, one of the warbands that came out in the Warband box set Red Harvest. This is when we sort of had the Varanite mines and all that. And they have Seeking Glory. After an enemy leader has been taken down by a melee attack action made by a friendly fighter with this battle trait, you add 2 to your wild dice pool. This is pretty cool. Nice solid ability. Once per game is probably the only issue, but taking down your enemy's leader, no small feat, but you do have some pretty solid fighters in the Dark Oath Savages, so you'll be able to get an extra couple of wild dice if you can sort of target your opponent's leader very early on in the game, and get this working is probably where I would be going with it. Next, we have the Iron Golems. We Make War is their ability, and after the initiative phase, starting with the attacker, each player whose warband has this battle trait picks a double, triple, or quad they have, and change that value to a 6. Straight up, this is just good. Like, it is very similar to some of the ones we've seen in other sort of videos we've done on the Disciples of Tzeentch, how they have to sort of roll off or they can swap around. Just being able to choose to get one is solid. Especially when you've got a quad, you normally don't get much else besides your quad, so being able to just pick that quad to be a 6, always a good thing. Next, we have the Scions of the Flame, and they have the Seared Wounds ability. Now, this warband originally came out in Warcry Catacombs alongside the K-Knight Shadowstalkers in the original season of Warcry, and also the warband that sort of introduced us to, I guess, non-Chaos warbands, playing with the K-Knights there. But they have the Seared Wounds ability. Each time 1 or more damage points allocated to an enemy fighter would be removed, you subtract 1 from the total to be removed to a minimum of 0. So this is pretty cool. It stops our opponent being able to heal up. This definitely has some play on some warbands, particularly things looking like the Hedonites and Slanesh Sybarites, the brand new Twist Wield and stuff like that want to be dealing damage. This can really hurt them on their healing sort of side. We then have the Spire tyrants. And the Spire tyrants have the Entertain Me ability, where once per battle round, a friendly fighter with this battle trait within 1 inch of one or more enemy fighters can pick one of those enemy fighters to duel. When they do so, each time that friendly fighter makes an attack action that targets that fighter, you can choose to change the strength characteristic of that attack action to equal the toughness characteristic of the enemy fighter. So meaning you will, at worst, when you're doing these sort of duels, wound on a 4+. Particularly good if you are playing, you know, those higher sort of toughness warbands, Stormcast Eternals, once again, coming up here, Jade Obelisk, Iron Golems, stuff like that. These are going to be a really invaluable ability for punching through some of that armor. We then have the good old Snake Boys, the Splintered Fang. I should say Snake Boys and Girls and Elf. Weapons dripping with poison is their ability, and once per battle round, a friendly fighter with this battle trait can use the poison attacks ability without needing to spend any ability dice and treat the value as a 6. Getting a free ability is just nice. Once per battle round, not having to, essentially counts you as having, you know, that extra sort of ability dice score there, and then counting as a 6. For me, really solid ability on them. We then have the Tarantulas Brood, the other warband that came out inside the Red Harvest box set. Eightfold Allies allows once per battle, a friendly fighter with this battle trait can use the Creeping Summons ability without needing or spending any ability dice and can use it as if they had the hero rune mark. This is going to allow you to just summon some spiders during the game. Cool enough ability, and especially good if your warband's leader has been taken down and you haven't got to bring back the spiders. It can be a nice little way to get them on the table still. The Unmade are next, probably the creepiest of all the original warbands. They have Shared Bliss, where once per battle, after an enemy fighter is taken down by the damage points allocated by the Shared Pain reaction, roll a dice. On a 3+, you gain a quad ability dice with a value of 1. This is just solid, like being able to have quad 1s just rock up. Obviously this is going to mean you've got something like a rampage coming on one of your other fighters. You know, always going to be useful, and it's still a quad 1, so it could be something like Inspiring Presence if you need it to be. Always just solid. I think this is a really great ability. And lastly, we have the Untamed Beasts. They have the Worthy Prey ability, where at the start of each battle round, if no enemy fighters are your worthy prey, you pick an enemy fighter to be that worthy prey. While this fighter is your worthy prey, abilities that target that fighter as treating as having a value of 6. This is really powerful. We've played a couple of games with the Untamed Beast on the channel so far. Getting this off and, just having 6s for your abilities, if you do get those quads, and just always having quad 6s for Unleash the Beast is amazing. We hope that this video was helpful in getting you started with Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry, and that it was able to give you some ideas and inspiration to start your own force in the game. If you have any other questions at all, please comment them down below and we'll endeavour to get back to you. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe and join our Discord server as well, linked in the video's description, for all our future Warhammer Age of Sigmar Warcry content.